For the first time in the 2003 NASCAR Winston Cup Series season, we're here on JRTV on a Saturday night for short track racing under the lights at the Richmond International Raceway. It's the Pontiac Excitement 400, and we're expecting a lot of excitement here tonight in this short track race. I'm joined in the booth by Trey Bartow. Trey, it's great to be back at a short track, especially when it's a Saturday night short track race. It always just seems that these types of short track races, they pop more, they have more intensity throughout and have more storylines as well. We've seen this in the past at Richmond, where there's a lot of aggression during the race, a lot of tempers. Do you think we'll see some of that here tonight, especially what's gone on the past few weeks?
Joe, I feel like the last 3 races in a row we've had tempers flying, right? So might as well just make it 4 at a track like this.
Oh yeah, and last season with how Richmond went, you would expect that there would be some tempers in this race last season, as there were 4 caution flags, a lot of which were cause for some anger issues, such as Conrad Evans spinning Eli Bright at the completion of lap number 2, or maybe Jordan Stout spinning Sarah Kirchner for no reason off turn number 2. But then, later in the season, Trey, at Richmond, same racetrack, there was only 1 caution flag. So how do the drivers, Trey, go from 4 cautions in one race at the same track to then, and later in the season, only 1 caution flag, and that 1 caution came on lap number 1?
You know what? I honestly don't know if I could answer that for you. I mean, I guess they were just having a bad day the first Richmond race last season, and then they were a little better. But, we'll have to see how people are feeling here tonight. And I'll be honest, I got my money on the not so happy side of it, like you mentioned, and we'll see what they're doing.
Yeah, with all the anger built up over the last few weeks, you can definitely see some aggression being taken out here tonight at the Richmond International Raceway. One driver who's probably hoping it goes green for a lot of the race is our pole sitter, Nolan Lawrence, in the 19. Had a very good qualifying lap, put that number 19 Dodge on pole position. He's joined with some heavy hitters like Jay Brendo and Lathan Strickland, who have, won races in their careers. Nolan Lawrence obviously has that win at Atlanta for an underfunded team. But Trey, what could it mean for Lawrence to get up here, just a few weeks removed from his Dover accident with Anthony Hernandez, to sit this car on pole and maybe have a shot to win here tonight for just the second ever time in his career and for the first time for Evernham Motorsports?
Yeah, it's kind of scary how quiet he's been ever since that incident happened. I mean, I'm sure you've talked to him, your team's talked to him, but social-wise, he's been kind of in his own little headspace there, kind of focusing on his driving, and I mean, it's clearly working, Joe.
Oh yeah, and working here tonight at the Richmond International Raceway. We'll see if he can try and get it done after 80 laps here in the Pontiac Excitement 400. And some other drivers who are looking to try and get it done tonight for $1 million bonus are the 5 Winston Noble 5 drivers. The highest starting of them is Luke Rennie in 4th place. He's had a lot of success here in the past. He's had top 5, top 10 results. He's looking for yet another one, maybe his first ever victory at this track, to try and get that $1 million bonus. The next highest starter is all the way back outside the top 10 and 11th. It's our points leader, Brett Sear, the 25. He has a shot for $1 million bonus as well. Riley Springs will blip further back in 17th as a shot. Anthony Hernandez back in 20th as a shot. And then all the way at the back of the field because of inspection is Zachary Fitzwater Sr., the 5th and final driver with a shot. So Trey, if one of those 5 wins here tonight, they get $1 million bonus, and they also get the points that come with the win as well.
Yeah, and you want to add to the tempers and stuff like that? Add how much did you say it was?
$1 million.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of money, Joe. Add that to the mix, and these guys are willing to risk anything for it.
Yep, those 5 will be going aggressive throughout the race. And also, don't forget that the top 5 finishers at the end of the race move on to the next $1 million chance at the Daytona International Speedway in the middle of the summer. So everyone's going to want to try and finish top 5 here tonight to get themselves in position to try and go for the $1 million bonus in the 3rd Winston Noble 5 race of the season. And for a final talking point, 3 drivers that are going to be very aggressive coming through the field are the 3 that are starting at the back of the field because of inspection failures. Hunter Reed will start in 40th place, Mathis Wells in 41st, and Zachary Fitzwater Sr. back in 42nd. Hunter Reed was set to start in 3rd place, failed inspection. The other 2, Mathis Wells and Zachary Fitzwater Sr., was set to start in 16th and 17th. So Trey, 3 of our top 20 starters failed inspection after qualifying, are at the back of the field now, starting 40th, 41st, and 42nd. And for, Fitzwater, he's kind of used to this season. He's failed inspection numerous times. Mathis Wells has come from the back to win a race in the past, and Hunter Reed as well has had to come from the back of races. And unfortunately, his past few races haven't been all that good, and that qualifying result is hopefully going to be a good thing for him now to start at the back of the field. What are those 3 feeling as they're coming around to take the green flag, knowing that they have to pass about 40 cars to try and get there and win this race at a track where it's not really all that easy to pass cars?
Well, I mean, as bad as to say, I mean, I feel like Fitzwater's just kind of like, I guess it's another race this season, right? Because I mean, this has been I lost count at this point, Joe. But yeah, Fitzy's, I guess, kind of used to failing inspection and having to work with it. As for Wells, like you said, it's not the first time he's been put back there and worked his way up, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that 20 at the front of this. And for that 45, he even said that he's been struggling lately, and this just kind of adds salt to the wound. So we'll have to see how those three can, bounce back from a rough start so far.
Well, it's nearly time to take the green flag here at Richmond. We'll go take a look at some of the track facts here for the Richmond International Raceway. It's a beautiful night for racing. It's very cool, only 66 degrees, but it's just fine. It's basically perfect condition for the fans in the stands and for the drivers in the race cars as well. It will be an 80-lap race. That's 60 miles because it's a 3/4 mile racetrack. The fuel window, you go very long here, 50 to 60 laps. So if we get a yellow flag around lap 20, lap 25, expect everyone to come down pit road and make their only stop of the race. If it stays green, they can go pretty long into this race. There's only 14 degrees of banking in the turns and then less than 10 degrees on both the front and back straightaway. And Keegan Thompson is the last driver to sweep the Richmond races in a season. He did it back in his rookie season in 2000 and nearly won the championship with that sweep of Richmond. It's about time to get going. Let's go down trackside, fire the engines up with this starting command.
Start your engines.
42 cars pacing off pit road. Some big names having to come from the back of the field. We'll see how they do throughout this 80-lap race. Trey, one quick update on the man starting in 7th place, Matt Tuck in the 32. A very impressive qualifying result. He's with a shot to maybe win it after finishing 2nd in the last race at Talladega.
You know, I feel like every time this man qualifies, he never has the self-confidence that he needs.
Well, maybe after yesterday, he'll have the self-confidence. Maybe he has the confidence here tonight to try and battle for the victory. Leads the Rookie of the Year point standings. We'll see if he can improve on that here tonight. At the front, it's Lawrence and Brando, the front row. Then Lathan Strickland, Luke Rainey, and Chris Jericho, the front 5. The green flag is waving, and we're underway in the Pontiac Excitement 400. Oh, back! In the back, they're all making contact. Cars are everywhere. They've sorted it out for now. Now we're looking 4 wide. Belladonna down low. Zidell has some damage. They come off 4, keep it under the green flag. Everyone was sideways back here, but everyone's still going straight somehow.
I don't know how they saved that, but that was really impressive, and I'm surprised they made 4 wide work here.
And Justin Zidell, the last time we were here at Richmond, started inside the top 5, but got turned around on the first lap and fell all the way to the back of the field with damage. Well, this season he started back in 30th place, but it's the same story. He almost got involved in a lap 1 crash.
Was that the 67 who was the one who almost got turned down the inside wall?
It was this green car, so I do think it was Jude Martinelli, and somehow kept that car going straight. And then they were 4 wide through 3 and 4. How they made that work, I do not know. But everyone's out of it alive, still going straight, and we're 3 wide racing. DeLello trying to move his way through the field. He has not had a great weekend here at Richmond, neither in practice nor qualifying. And Ryan Wilson was good in practice, not good in qualifying. Moved 3 wide on Atkins and Riley Spurley to move closer to the front. And one of the lone Pontiacs in the field, not too many of them left. Here is Evan Hunter trying to win in the Pontiac Excitement 400 with that number 36, moving up to try and get by Keegan Thompson. One of the best here at Richmond in this lone Winston Cup Series career is see Mitchell Collins moving by Brett Sierra, the points leader. That's for 9th place. Jordan Stout and Sarah Kirchner both up inside the top 10. Then Strickland has fallen back. Burnett's moving up. Luke Rennie's moving up. And at the front is still Lawrence. But Jericho is trying to hunt him down. That number 18 has been just a little bit faster these last few laps.
This is one of the cleanest starts we've had to a Richmond race in a while, Joe.
Yeah, besides that lap 1 stuff where cars are
even
banging off each other.
including that, it was pretty clean.
It was. That is true. We have not had a caution flag yet. We're already 6 laps into it this time by. Jordan Stout moves to 7th by that number 33, Sarah Kirchner. That's going to bring Mitchell Collins for 8th place, and Kirchner is going to be in a battle with Brett Seaver here. Those two are up inside the top 5 in the points. Seaver leading the points. Kirchner trying to chase him down back in 4th, and Sierra's going to move by that number 33 down the back straightaway. That's for 9th place. Further up the road, battle is on for 3rd. Matthew Burnett has not won since 2001 at Texas. He's now up to 3rd place by that number 88 of Luke Rainey, as Luke is still the highest of the Winston 05 drivers, but slipping back outside the top 5. He'll lose 4th to Strickland and possibly 5th to Jay Rando. And here comes Jordan Stout, a man who has said, listen, this is not the start to the season anyone on this team has wanted. He has struggled and struggled and struggled to find that consistency that he had the last few seasons. Well, here he is, Trey, with a good start to this Richmond race so far, racing up inside the top 10, the top 5 just in his sights. The top 5 currently held by his teammate Jay Rando.
Yeah, it's will be interesting to see how this 6 can, you know, slowly try to work his way up and probably catch these leaders who are now getting even closer. As we saw a couple laps ago, there was pretty good distance, but Joe, this 18 looks fast.
Yeah, Chris Jericho, another driver who is saying, listen, this start to the season has been abysmal. He only has 2 top 5s and 2 top 10s. Both of them were runner-up finishes at Riverside and then at Dover just a few races ago. Last week at Talladega, he had that big crash miss, but the crash somehow got him involved after the main accident was over. He was not too happy about that, you know, dropped him down in points again after he made some ground up after Dover. Well, here he's at Richmond, qualified 6th, started into the top 5 because of Hunter Reed's inspection failure, and now Jericho racing up onto the back bumper of the race leader Nolan Lawrence, trying to grab the lead away on lap number 11, but it's one thing to catch a driver, Trey, another thing to pass at a short track, but it looks like he's looking out. That 18 car just has great grip on corner exit, gets the run down the straightaways, and looks to the inside. Lawrence, I think, is just going to yield and say, you know what, you are much faster. Go ahead, my friend. Chris Jericho to the front of the field in the Pontiac Excitement 400.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the times between the 19 and the 18, and consistently 3 laps in a row, 4 laps, 5 laps. That 18 was catching that 19 by a 10th or more each time. So, I mean, that 18 of Jericho is on rails. As Luke Rainey's actually into the wall.
I think he just missed his braking point or something happened to the car there. You don't normally see a driver just go up into the wall on a corner entrance like that.
That was very strange here. Now he's got to try to gather himself back up here. It looks like he is now, but yeah, it almost like the wall almost kind of caught him off guard, or like you said, he missed his braking zone or something like that.
Well, in just those few laps for the 18 that passed the 19 Trey, he's opened up a 2nd gap over Nolan Lawrence. That 18 so far early on this race is hooked up and pulling away from everyone back behind him.
Well, the thing that, you know, you see about that, but might come into effect later if this goes long, is tires. I mean, if that 18's that fast, how much is he pushing the car?
That's a great point. Is Chris Jericho overusing those tires as Sierra moves by Luke Rainey and Ryan Wilson moves up inside the top 10? Good run for Nathan Ormond. He's missed a lot of races as of late, but made this one here at Richmond and currently racing up inside the top 15 and looking for a top 10 just in front of him. Kurt Surzer, then you have Evan Hunter, both those two once again up inside the top few in points and looking to try and gain on Brett Sierra. A little bit further back, RCR didn't have the best qualifying results with some of these drivers like Kukulon and Conrad Evans. They're both racing well up through the field. Riley Sprout, who's trying to regain lost ground, Rue's about where he started. And how about these two? Tyler Belladonna, the 77 car with Jack Haas behind the wheel last season, raced up inside the top 10, finished there with Haas behind the wheel. And then Mathis Wells, Trey, has had to come from the back of the field, 41st place. But in just 16 laps, he's inside the top 20, going for 19th on Belladonna. And he sees the top 15 right in front. That 20, just like his teammate Chris Jericho, is flying.
You said it before the race started that 20 is used to, or has started in the back before and worked his way up to the front. So looks like he's trying to do it once again here. He's got a lot of speed, but wow, that 77 was high up there.
Yeah, Belladonna went way up the track, lost some time there as Atkins is trying to come through the field. Nathan Stapleton qualified inside the top 20, kind of fell back as he started on the outside, has had a good run. Another driver that has to come through the field because of inspection woes, Zachary Fitzwater Sr. from 42nd place, currently up to 23rd in the top 20, not too far in front for him. So Fitzwater making good progress through the field. There's Benny Lynn. Eli Bright started back in 34th, and I think after qualifying was not too happy with the team he has assembled with them this season. He was kind of, down on the team, down on himself, and he's currently raced up inside the top 25, a gain of about 9 spots. This car, Samet Oskin, is moving by Keegan Thompson, who started this race in 6th place, but has really, really struggled since the get-go. Laura Chung moving up from her starting spot. There's Jason Albert. Tim Gary started back here. He hasn't really made too much progress. Zidell is still back here. Anthony Hernandez has fallen, winner of this race last season. Not in a position so far to do that this season. Then you have Hunter Reed, who had to start at the back of the field. This 45 not gaining much ground. Jude Martinelli back here as Laura Chung is up into the turn 1 wall, just like Luke Rainey.
Yeah, I don't know what It's very strange to see that happening, and I don't know what would be causing that, but you could see she's gonna try to recover here. We're good, still 3 wide, but yeah, that's I don't know what could be causing that.
Is the track just a little bit slicker than maybe these drivers were expecting? Maybe there's just not as much grip out there currently?
That could definitely be the issue there, and I mean, it could be another thing of it might be strange to hear, but maybe these drivers weren't expecting a long green flag run to start out this race.
That's true. We've gone 22 caution-free laps to start the Pontiac Excitement 400. Some of the bigger stories back here. Burton Crown Jr. started well, currently back in the 38th position, all the way back in 42nd. Trey, he started in 7th, but Matt Tuck is now in 42nd. What a drop down. We're not even halfway into it. He's already fallen 35 positions.
Yeah, that's very strange. I wasn't expecting to see any car drop as quickly as he did here, and that 18 is lurking in the distance right behind him here is really, I mean, Jericho kind of got out to a big lead, but it's been kind of not stabilizing, but slowing down the distance between the first and second car.
That is true. Nolan Lawrence had lost a lot those first 2 laps when getting past, but since then has only lost about, half a tenth to a tenth a lap, whereas before when the 18 had just passed him, he was losing like 2 or 3 tenths a lap. So definitely Lawrence is starting to maybe even out with the 18 car, and right there only lost 2/100ths of a second, but still losing time to the 18 of Jericho, but also Jericho will be catching up to lap traffic before too long, because with the pace he's setting, he's already, basically on the same straightaway as those guys in front. Here's a great battle for 9th place. The points leader, Brett Searer, trying to keep the 9th spot, but Ryan Wilson trying to take it in that number 15 for DEI, which, DEI really struggled here, and I was shocked because they had won 2 of the last 3 here at Richmond, but in qualifying, none of them qualified well there. I think their highest was Anthony Hernandez in 23rd place, and there are others, including their affiliate Carson Benazka wasn't all that well, and here Ryan Wilson, though, has raced well. He's the only one that's really moved up a lot of positions, currently up to now 9th place, and Brett Searer might lose 10th to that number 88 of Luke Rainey, who had a great run down to the inside, trying to get the power down to stay with Brett Searer. That's a battle right now for 10th and 11th, and that'll bring Sarah Kirchner in 12th into that battle as well.
Yeah, I know Sarah Kirchner, she was pretty excited to finally get a good qualifying starting spot. I know, I think everyone's seen she's not been the happiest with how that 33 team's been doing, but I mean, at least she's making the most of it right now, staying up front, and looks like putting in the work to move up a position or 2 here on the 88 and the 25.
You talk about, qualifying and having issues in qualifying. The man second in points, Keyshawn Richardson, if he had, ever qualified well this season, he'd be in a battle with Brett Searer for that points lead. I mean, his average starting position this season is sub-20th, but his average finishing position is one of the best of the season. That just shows how much some of these drivers that are up there in points, like Kirchner, like Richardson, have had to work through the field to get these finishing results, and really kind of proves that to be more impressive than maybe what Brett Searer's done, where he's qualified well and raced well. Once you qualify well, it's pretty easy to have a good race, but if you're Richardson, have to come from 25th, 26th every week. It's a lot harder to get up there and set the top 5 and race up there.
Yeah, it's not fun starting in the back, but I mean, at least you can come up and close out, the race here. It's all that really matters. So we'll have to see if that 999 can do it again.
Well, Matthew Burnett, his teammate going for 2nd place, slid sideways off turn 4. In the background, 2 other Roush cars in a battle, with Richardson getting by Jay Rando in the 97th to move Richardson up to 6th. Rando might fall back to 8th. Battle for 2nd is still a side-by-side battle. Burnett on the inside can't complete the pass on the number 19 Nolan Lawrence, and is currently losing some ground to Chris Jericho because of it. It's now a gap over 2 seconds for that number 18, and these two stay side-by-side for a second, and while they're doing it, Trey, they've lost 5/10 that last lap, but they're also losing ground to the drivers behind, like Lathan Strickland and Jordan Stout, to try and make it a 4-car race for 2nd place.
Yeah, but on the downside is that 18 is now catching lap traffic, so is that going to slow him up? And maybe once these guys figure out who wants what spot here, looks like they just now did, are they going to be able to make up? How much is it now?
3 seconds. Wow.
3 seconds.
That 18 is on rails so far, but he obviously has to survive pit stops and survive lap traffic as well. The guy in 4th place, Lathan Strickland, has had a very consistent season. Nothing too, explosive, nothing too out there. He's just been quietly racking up top 10s, top 15s. It's gotten him up inside the top 5 in the point standings. And at the moment, he'd gained points on his teammate Brett Searer, as he's up in 4th place, and Searer's currently back in the 10th position, and he's kept ahead of Luke Rainey for now, as Rainey has his hands full with Sarah Kirchner. A little bit further back, you see Conrad Evans moving up nicely in that number 31. Baby Brewer's having a good second half of this first run. Nathan Stapleton is just outside the top 15. A good run for him in that number 42. There's Mathis Wells. He's moved up to 17th. That's slowed, but he's still making progress. And so is Fitzwater. That number 2 is up to 19th. So if those guys can get a caution flag, they can maybe re-rack the field and gain some more time and gain some more positions on these drivers in front.
Yeah, it is very true. I feel like the only scenario where we might have some sort of accident will either be with these tires slowly starting to get down, these cars are going to become more and more unstable, or if something were to happen during the pit cycles.
Well, here's Jericho. He's caught now the back end of the field. Angel Gutierrez in that number 14, currently back at the 42nd position for AJ Foyt Racing. He's the first driver to be caught by our race leader. It looks like he's going to yield to the top side. Jericho moves low, and even Trey, with that lap where he was stuck behind this number 14, he gained 100th of a second. So far, not slowing that number 18 down too much as Jericho moves by Gutierrez, puts that number 14 one lap in the rears. The battle for second, Burnett had gotten by Lawrence, but the 19 has not let the 17 get away. Lawrence staying right with Matthew Burnett, and when those two battled, it brought Strickland and Stout into it. And with these four maybe being held up, here comes Keyshawn Richardson, here comes Mitchell Collins, here comes Jay Randall. There's a lot of cars starting to gain for that second space, but once again, it's all happening 3 seconds behind the race leader, Chris Jericho, in the 18 car.
Yeah, I mean, look. How do you think it is that the biggest battle on the track right now is for second place?
I know Jericho's loving it. He's he probably can't even see the battle for second in his mirror because he's so far ahead.
I think the spotter's just telling him, "Hey, this is a nice battle back here. You just keep doing what you're doing."
Yeah, you just you stay on that yellow. Oh, right there, Strickland missed
Wow.
turn 3. Moved up, and here comes Stout. It looks like he's going to easily get that 4th position from that Hendrick driver, and it might bring Keyshawn Richardson up inside the top 5. The 99 still moving up.
The 48's in the wall.
Well, his tires are really going off now. That's the second straight corner, Trey, that he missed the bottom of the track. In turns 3 and 4, he missed the bottom. Right there, 1 and 2 really missed the bottom. And again, he just can't really turn that car down to the corner like he wants.
Yeah, this might be where we're going to start to see these cars really start to fall off here. The tires are screaming. The drivers are probably yelling, and this is where, the frustration starts to set in, was when your car starts to go away from you. You just got to do the best you can and manage it as far as you can.
Well, they're going to be about 10, 15 laps from green flag pit stop, so they don't have to go too much longer, but still, maybe one driver who wants to go long is Keyshawn Richardson. That 99 looks pretty good on these worn tires, currently racing up right to the back of Jordan Stout, and what would be a battle for 4th place. So Roush Racing today, Trey, 3 cars inside the top 5, 4 inside the top 10. The only one missing up here is Zachary DeLello, who didn't start well, not really racing well, currently back in the 26th position. Other than that, 4 Roush cars really putting in work here is Chris Jericho in this traffic. He got by Matt Tuck, but has lost about half a second to this number 17 of Matthew Burnett.
Yeah, now that 17 is a little bit more clear, he's got a little bit of clean air in front of him. He's still got lap cars ahead, but this is where we're probably going to be able to see what this 17 has underneath him.
Burnett's hope is that before he catches the number 14 or the number 32 to try and put them a lap down and maybe lose time, is that he can come down pit road, get tires on, maybe with the worst pit crews of the 14, the 32, they lose ground, they fall behind him, then he won't have to lap them on the racetrack and won't lose time in that regard, and could maybe even gain if he plays the right strategy versus his number 18 of Chris Jericho's. Once again, the 18's in a little bit clearer track and is starting to gain ground again.
It is easier to pass cars on pit road than it is on track.
Yep, that's what I've always been told by anyone, whether it be a driver or a crew chief. They say, listen, my driver can go out there and pass cars on the track. However, the more we pass on pit road, how much easier it is for the driver out there in the race car.
You don't got to worry as much. That way, you're just kind of like, oh, cool, we moved up 5 spots. I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's like spots for free on pit road. You just have to hope that your pit crew and your crew chief plays the right strategy call. As we're nearing pit stops, we're going to be about 5 to 8 laps from these drivers making pit stops. Let's get to our Gatorade audience analysis before we get to that point. As last week, we had all the talk on the Anthony Hernandez situation. What should the penalty have been? And Trey, shockingly, 50%, half of the voters, said he should have not only gotten points, but also a suspension on top of that.
That was my vote too, wasn't it?
I think you said points. But you said if he didn't learn from it, you'd give him a suspension next time, I think is what you said.
Something along those lines. I don't know.
I do know that 12% of our voters are probably Anthony Hernandez fans because 12% said nothing. So.
Well, that's all right. Yeah, I do know, Joe. I might be cooking something up behind the scenes here with a little Q&A with Anthony Hernandez here coming in the next couple of days, though.
Well, we'll see if that falls through, and
Yeah,
we'll see
yeah.
if
Well, it depends.
yeah, if it actually happens. Because we're coming around to 30 to go. Chris Jericho still the race leader. Let's get to this week's Gatorade audience analysis. And for this one, it's about the championship points lead. Brett Sierra gained a lot over the last few races, up over 130 points. The question is, who has the best shot to catch him for the championship points lead? Would it be Keyshawn Richardson? Would it be Evan Hunter, Sarah Kirchner, or someone else?
If Richardson can start qualifying better with how he's racing, I'm going to say him.
Yeah, he's been pretty good as of late. And, something to think about here, Trey, is, entering this race last season, this exact race, the same Pontiac Excitement 400, same place on the calendar last season, our champion Mathis Wells, he entered 312 points behind the points leader, but ended up winning the championship.
I mean, that just shows you that anything can happen throughout this long season, and you never can get your hopes, down. Always be ready, as we have pit stops coming on.
Yep, leader on pit road, and then two more on pit road, but staying out is Nolan Lawrence and Jordan Stout. They're going a little bit longer, hoping that maybe they can get the tires later and gain that way. Brett Sierra also stayed on the racetrack. I believe Conrad Evans, Nathan Stapleton, so some of these drivers playing some different strategy, but most of our leaders are in, including Chris Jericho. Lawrence is probably coming in this time, along with the 14, the 6. Does anyone stay out? Does Sierra stay out? No, he's going to come in. Conrad Evans, Nathan Stapleton. So far, everyone's staying on that strategy. How about these guys that are at the back of the field? Do they dare stay out longer? Hope for a caution to try and catch these guys a lap down. It looks like that's not going to happen. Everyone on pit road within the same 2 laps.
Which I think those guys that went a lap later might be a little better, just because it wasn't as congested on pit road as, per se, majority of the field that came down the first time.
Well, it looks like Jericho gained time on pit road. That pit crew was on it tonight. He entered and left, and he left everyone in the dust. Richardson lost ground on pit road. As here's everyone. Evan Hunter came in sooner than anyone, trying to gain some spots. There he goes in that number 36. So Evan Hunter played a nice strategy. The rest of the field on pit road getting service, and Jericho's already by them all. That number 18 is out and away, and the gap he has, look at this.
I was going to say, where's he at, Joe?
He just crossed the line there, and he cycled back to the lead, and there's 17 Matthew Burnett. Second place, but 4 seconds behind Jericho.
And now this 17's got to try to find his way through everyone coming off of pit road. That's not the sight you want to see if you're in this default 17.
I got to say, great job by Roberto Crown Jr. there. He stayed low, let those guys go to not cause an incident in turn number 4. That was a class move by Roberto Crown Jr. Knew it's not his race here tonight and just said, I'm going to let everyone go, not cause a scene, not cause anything. And, after Dover, I'm sure Eli Bright would have loved that for his own car. But, I mean, at least maybe Crown has learned a little bit.
I was going to say, maybe some of these other, playoff guys should learn from that. But like you said, Eli, I still don't think he's gotten over it.
No, probably not. Not when your car is in the air at Dover. I don't know how you can get over that. You hit hard when you get in the air at Dover.
That is very true.
So as pit stops have cycled out, Jericho's still with the lead. Burnett now second. Then Lawrence is still third. Fourth is now Strickland. Collins up to fifth. Then you have Ryan Wilson in sixth, so he gained. Richardson back in seventh. Sierra's now eighth. Stout stayed out longer, back in ninth. Luke Rainey is 10th. Then you have Conrad Evans 11th. His teammate Kirchner in 12th. Ruiz with a good night 13th. Wells up to 14th. Rando kicked back to 15th on those pit stops. Then Stapleton is 16th. Fitzwater 17th. Hunter actually lost ground back to 18th. Eli Bright is up to the top 20 in 19th. And Justin Atkins is 20th. Riley Spurgeon lost ground back in 21st. So is the number 16 DeLello. He gained a little bit back in 22nd. Tim Gary in the 10 is a lap down through that. Kukulon's 23rd. Martinelli is up in 24th, so he gained. And 41 Albert currently inside the top 25. Those are the only cars on the lead lap tray. Everyone else has fallen a lap down, including drivers like Laura Chung, Hunter Reed, who had to start at the back because of inspection. 77, 81. Ormond was up there. He's a lap down. Anthony Hernandez, winner of this race last season, is 32nd, 1 lap down. Matt Tuck is a lap down. We see Zeidel's a lap down. And Tim Gary, to start the back with a mistake in qualifying, is 42nd place in a lap down. So at the moment, Jericho's torrid pace has put a lot of drivers 1 lap behind the leaders, with now 19 laps to go for the driver of the 18.
Well, I mean, as long as everything can stay, nice and neat for him, might be a walk in the park. I'm knocking on wood, Joe. Look at me, I'm knocking on wood. I didn't jinx it. All right. Got that out of the
Hope
way.
you didn't jinx it.
Oh yeah, I hope. If I did, then it wouldn't be the first time I've done such a thing.
Well, this is a big battle right here. Martinelli still has damage from that lap 1 scrap with cars going sideways everywhere. They didn't want to fix it, probably because it would take time, and they're like, well, the car's still running fine. And he's currently scored inside the top 31 lap down, but having a decent result. You see the 4,500 Reed trying to pass. Remember, Reed had to start at the back, but qualified in 3rd. So we know that car probably does have some pace, but unfortunately, inspection kind of put him in the back. Matthew Burnett is trying to move through lap traffic, currently back 3.4 seconds. So he's gained some time, but also I think Jericho, knowing he has a big lead, is just taking it easy by traffic. He's not, taking chances, not taking risks. He's just saying, you know what? If I can pass them, I will. Otherwise, I'm just going to stay behind them and, just find the time when I can. Right there, you can see Albert. He stayed behind him for a few laps right there. Got the run. Knew he had enough to make a move to the inside. Now he's going to try and pass him.
That is a smart veteran move right there, Joe. Is he knows that he's got such a big lead that, like you said, he doesn't have to push. I mean, he's 3.5 seconds in front of 2nd and then 7 seconds in front of 3rd, right? So what does he have to push for?
Exactly. He's just saying, you know what? You don't have to win by 4 seconds. You can win by 4/10. It's still a win in the record book. So Jericho knows this. He's a champion of the Winston Cup Series for a reason. And here he is currently just 14 laps away from breaking the drought of what has been this season so far. He has 14 laps. He has 3 seconds in hand over this man back here, Matthew Burnett, who's still having to fool around traffic like Miller and Keegan Thompson. How about Keegan Thompson, Trey? This season, just like we talked about with Stout and with Jericho, this season has been anything but good for Keegan Thompson, and it's continuing. While he has that win at Martinsville, he's not done anything other than that win, really.
Yeah, it's I just feel like this 5 car's been off for a couple of seasons now, right? I mean, Hendrick as a whole is slowly starting to get back to where they were, but it just seems like Keegan Thompson's still not on, the right track here. This 5 team's got to find something here soon, or they're going to be left in the dust.
Well, that's the weird thing. Last season, you could say, well, yeah, all of Hendrick was down because, the 48 was bad, the 25 was bad. The 48 was the only one that won a race of those teams that season. But this season, Sierra's up there winning races, leading the points. Lathan Strickland is running well in race and currently up inside the top 5 in points. He's really down there with Justin Seidel is battling for the worst Hendrick car this season. While he has that win at Martinsville, he still just doesn't have the consistency to put together like his teammates. But at the front, Chris Jericho is in this mess. He got passed back by the 41, and Matthew Burnett cut the gap down to 2 seconds with now 10 to go at the line, and Jericho is in pretty thick traffic here.
He's lost 4 spots toward the lap cars he's passed, right? And then he looks like he's under pressure for more. So seems like if there's going to be a time to pounce for the 17, it's going to be now while he's stuck in this traffic.
At 10 laps to go, can Matthew Burnett gain the 1.9 seconds that he needs to gain to try and get up there and battle with Jericho for the race victory? Both of these drivers looking to turn their seasons around. Burnett and Jericho both not had the start to the seasons they've wanted. Well, here they are 9 laps away from victory, and just 1.9 seconds separates them after the dominant night for Chris Jericho. Can he try and hold on for the race victory? Once again, caught up in this traffic, and traffic all around him, in front, behind, you name it. He has cars all around him. Maybe he'd be best off just letting the one of Fernandez go to try and, just not get pressure from behind in that regard.
That time's still dropping there. Dropped to not about another 4 100ths, give or take, right? But it's still dropping. Now he's getting to the inside and starting to pass more cars, so we'll have to see if he can gain that lead back a little bit, but that 18 looks to be struggling in this heavy traffic.
Yeah, it's just maybe he just got up there and wore the tires off there coming off pit road, and, now he's starting to feel it in that traffic. You wear tires more in traffic with that dirty air, and here Jericho is trying to get through. Keyshawn Richardson has moved up nicely back up into the top 5, but Brett Sears also moving up through the field in 7th place. While it would be a points gain so far for the 99, it would be a minimal points gain, leaving Richmond 6 laps to go. The gap between the front two, 1.4 seconds, and now the 18's on the outside. Anthony Hernandez, as a lap car, is passing the 18 of Chris Jericho.
Anthony Hernandez doing something very controversial this season. I could see that happening again, but it's getting interesting now.
Now, to Belladonna, did he lift there? I think he lifted to let the 18 back in line.
That is the case, Joe. Then good for that 77. He's realizing that he doesn't want to interfere in this battle because right there, Joe, you see him lurking 3 cars behind this 18. At 17, it's getting a lot bigger.
0.8 of a second with just 4 laps to go. But Belladonna looks faster than Jericho. Would the 18 just let him go because he still has 2 cars between? Just let the 77 go and not lose time in corners battling with Belladonna right here. Remember, they battled for second at Dover. This right here is completely different. Jericho is on the lead lap going for the victory. Belladonna's a lap down and really doesn't have spots he can gain in front, and he doesn't really have spots he can lose behind. If he, if he just stays behind the 18, I think he'd be fine. Just 3 to go, and Jericho that time opened up the gap in a big way.
We'll have to see what the 77. I can't tell if he's itching to try to get past this 18 or if he's comfortable sitting behind it. It seems like every set of corner he's peaking a little bit there, but just does not pass. It looks like the 18 slowly getting a bigger gap there, but that 17 gets, or that 77 gets a big run.
2 laps to go for Chris Jericho. 1 second the gap back to Matthew Burnett, but 3 lap cars also between he and that number 17 Burnett. Coming around to the white flag this time behind the Pontiac Excitement 400, the 2001 champion, trying to get Joe Gibbs Racing back on top through 10 races. They've not won a single one. Could tonight be the night? Jericho takes the white flag, and just 1 lap to go. 3/4 of a mile remain for Chris Jericho to win his first race of the 2003 season. Only 2 top 5s to this point. They were both runner-ups at Riverside and at Dover. But down the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4, it was a perfect night for Chris Jericho. Most laps led, and the checker flag is his at Richmond.
Yeah, he might want to send a thank you card to that 77, huh?
Well, you know what? I think after Dover, Belladonna was like, "You raced me clean. We raced hard." We were told Belladonna was, happy about how that race went with him and, the 18, the 97. Maybe right there he was like, you know what? For racing me clean, racing me good, I'll let you back in line and you go win this thing.
A little show of respect and sportsmanship right there.
Yeah, that's what we love to see. Instead of someone passing the leader and putting them up the track and making them lose time.
Who did that?
No clue, Trey. I don't know. It was some yellow flash.
yeah, exactly. But like you said, an absolute dominant performance here tonight by the 18 of Chris Jericho.
Yeah, that's the Chris Jericho we know. Nothing like what has happened so far these first 10 races. That's the Chris Jericho everyone knows in the Winston Cup Series.
Thinking this is going to wake up that 18 team?
I mean, remember last season he was like, 500 points back at one point, went up there and almost won the championship. Who's to say it won't happen again this season? Just saying.
Definitely a chance. I'm not putting it down. Putting it down.
Yeah, so take a look at the finishing results from the Pontiac Excitement 400. A caution-free race here tonight at Richmond. That's a rare one, but it's Chris Jericho on top in the 18. Matthew Burnett tried his best at the end. The lap traffic almost got him to victory lane with a 2nd place. Nolan Lawrence started on pole, led a good amount of laps, ends up in 3rd place. A very solid run for Lawrence here tonight. Mitchell Collins ends up in 4th. Once again, a solid night for that Penske racing car. And a top 5 for Keyshawn Richardson. He'll gain slight points on the championship rival, Brett Sierra. 6th place goes to Ryan Wilson, a good run through the field. Conrad Evans came through the field, ends up in 7th. Brett Sierra right there in 8th place, a very solid night. How about Mathis Wells? At Richmond with no caution flags, he came from 41st place to 9th place to finish. That is a gutsy drive. If he did not fail inspection, I think he could have had a shot at his teammate Chris Jericho for that race victory. And Luke Rennie completes the top 10 in the 88. Also want to give an update. Obviously, no drivers were even close to winning the $1 million bonus here tonight in the Winston Noble 5. The highest driver is 8th place, Brett Sierra. But the top 5 will move on to Daytona with a shot. That's Chris Jericho, Matthew Burnett, Nolan Lawrence, Mitchell Collins, and Keyshawn Richardson. The ironic part is that for Jericho, this was only the 2nd Winston Noble 5 race he wasn't a part of. And he ended up winning it, so it would have been another $1 million bonus for him, but he'll have to move on from that. Lathan Strickland, once again, just falls right at the end outside the top 10, 11th place for him. Baby Ruiz with a really good result in 12th. Jay Randall, Jordan Stout had raced well during the race, but they ended up falling to just inside the top 15. Actually, Nathan Stapleton, a very solid top 15. Sarah Kirscher didn't have the best second half of the race. Eli Bright moved up really well, gained about 17 spots from his starting spot. Evan Hunter had a mediocre day, same with Riley Spurgeon. Justin Atkins moved up nicely. Fitzwater lost some ground there in the second half, but still from 42nd to 21st at a short track, he'll definitely take that. DeLello and Kukulon down here, not the days they were looking for. Hernandez last car in the lead lap in 27th place. Remember, he won this race last season. The 20th on down, all lap down, and whether it be from some damage they wanted to repair on pit road or just slower race cars or bad pit stops, that's how it fell in the Pontiac Excitement 400 here at Richmond. And now we take a look at the points in Trey. Keyshawn Richardson, slight gain, but really everyone else, Kirchner lost points. Evan Hunter lost points. Riley Sprotube, Tim Gary lost a lot of points. So really, Keyshawn Richardson is the only one trying to maintain touch with Brett Sierra at this moment. 11 races in, Sierra's points lead still over 100 points. Richardson trying to close in, but also don't count out that number 18 Trey. Moved up a lot after this race victory and could try and gain more in these coming months entering into the summer.
Yeah, for 98% of the field, it's going to be a race they want to forget. For 2 drivers, it's going to be a race they're going to try to build off that being that 99 and the 18. So, Joe, the points are they're never ending. They're never resting, is what we should say.
That's exactly right. They'll always be moving, always fluid throughout the season. And this next race coming up on JRTV, this could be one that moves the points around as we're going racing at the Texas Motor Speedway. Always a crazy one. It's the Samsung Radio Shack 500 Trey. We've seen chaos at Texas in the past with big crashes, crazy racing, crazy finishes. There's no telling what might happen next week on JRTV with that race as well.
Yeah, it might be the polar opposite of what this one was, huh?
Yeah, this one was a calm, clean 80-lap race for Saturday night under the lights at a short track that's very, very rare, but it happened here tonight. Chris Jericho's happy it happened like that as the 2001 champion is back on top in dominant fashion here at the Richmond International Raceway. For Trey Bardo, I'm Joe Rakowski. So long, but tune in next week to JRTV for the Texas Motor Speedway Samsung Radio Shack 500.